You already know what type of time we on. 5 p.m. and we got an hour to go. You know, usually I'm long-winded and we got to move around a little bit, but today it's going to be one of them shows. Welcome on into the Ultimate Browns. We got something cooked up for you. They told us one big lie. They told us it was a competition. They let us know we got 4 guys competing for this job. Let me tell you why they chickened out at the last moment and why this whole big situation has been a sham, a bamboozling, or hoodwinked. We've been scallywagged. There wasn't no quarterback competition. And guess what? The Browns thought they bought themselves some time. They thought I was the only zealot on the out fringes that saw what was coming. Oh, no. I told you. I warned y'all. It don't go down like that. People be seeing it. We got an hour to get to whatever we're going to get to. It's supposed to be the fastest 30 minutes, but you know how we do. We just upgraded it. We're going to get to it and that and much more on this episode of The Ultimate Browns. Welcome on into what we used to call the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. But I've been going overtime lately. We got a lot to get to. But remind you, before we get to any of this, coming up, following this 6 o'clock behind the glass, Anthony, Earl, my man, Mikey McNuggets, they're going to break down some more of this. Listen, the Behind the Glass crew is back, man. Football season around the corner. Make sure you're right here. All you got to do is roll over and continue to watch this. This is going to be on 5. We're going to do that one at 6, and we're going to do it up here, right here on the UCSS network. As always, we got a great show for you playing today. Browns signed Isaiah Bond to a 3-year deal. We knew that was coming. We knew Isaiah Bond was going to get signed a 3-year deal. We'll hear from Andrew Berry. We'll get something from some tweets and different things like that. And we do have the details of the contract out here. We will throw that out to you guys as well. And I will tell you why you're going to see Isaiah Bond quicker rather than later. And it all has to stem with all these other dudes we got on the squad that don't be doing nothing. We'll talk about that coming up later. Browns. You really thought y'all bought some time, didn't y'all? Cleveland Browns thought that they really bought themselves some time with this whole situation with the quarterback competition. We're going to talk about why they thought they were slick and they bought themselves some time. They didn't. I ain't the only one that's just caught on to this game. I ain't the only one. You know, we're going to get that hucked away. There's other people in the city that then quietly just started to tiptoe. I told people, watch this. When the season starts and people start to see the games, people start to see what's going on the field, they're not going to keep going along with people just telling them. They're going to come to the realization themselves. But first, you already know what the thumbnail is. You've seen the explosive thumbnail. Let's go ahead and talk about this. The Cleveland Browns quarterback competition is coming to a close. This week. It's the 3rd preseason game. The Browns have named Joe Flacco as their starter. The Browns have come out and said that Joe Flacco will be the starter. And it was the most anticlimactic thing that we've seen as a Browns fan base in a very long time. When you heard it from the very first onset, Zach Jackson, go check that video out. It's over 100,000 plus views on UCSS. The very first week when we talked about camp, and going way back to then, Zach Jackson put his flag in the ground and said, I don't think Dylan Gabriel is a franchise quarterback. I think Shedeur Sanders is better than him. I think Joe Flacco has been the best at camp, and he will probably start. Right? He told us that very early on. Now, in between all of that stuff, we've heard that, Dylan Gabriel turned himself into an Intel Pentium processor, level 3. We heard that Kenny Pickett, besides what you've heard, and all of what you've seen, Kenny Pickett has been the man. His stats don't matter. His past doesn't matter. Kenny Pickett for president. We heard that, right? And seriously, we look at the depth chart. The depth chart in the beginning of a season was Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. We get to a game 3. And the only person who has consistently performed has been Shedeur Sanders, and he is at the bottom of the depth chart. Now you ask yourself, how is somebody ahead of him and he hasn't taken a snap? I haven't seen Kenny Pickett in weeks. Doesn't matter. I saw Dylan Gabriel. I told you what I gave him on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. No knock against him. I gave him a what? I gave him I had him at a C. I went to a C+. I gave him some credit for his third down conversions. I gave him some credit for some arm strength. He zipped a couple footballs in there. But as we've gone along here, we found that certain people decided that 2 turnovers is better than 2 touchdowns in tight windows in between double and triple coverage. People have decided that somehow that if you squint very hard and look, your eyes have been deceiving you, and that wasn't what it was supposed to be. But as I come to the conclusion, it wasn't even about all that. We could talk about the depth chart, and we could talk about a bunch of other things. But let's talk about why the Cleveland Browns simply lied to your faces. The Cleveland Browns try to act like they were being honest about the situation, that this was a quarterback competition, and that we were going to give people an opportunity to see exactly what they had, and we were going to literally draft 2 guys and give them the opportunity to become a guy that could be somebody that's a long-term answer for the Cleveland Browns. But they played you. They played us all. And we bought hook, line, and sinker into it. All these people come flooding into our podcast to listen to what we were saying and why this guy should be ahead of this guy and why this guy was supposed to be ahead of this guy. But in reality, this was never a competition. This was a ruse. I love The Matrix. One of my most famous, I love The Matrix, love Neo, love everything about the movie because it gives you the metaphors of the way life really works. And I love the first Matrix, was loving it. My man, this dude Neo, this dude is really the one. And then you start to get down deep into the context of the movie, and then you start to realize Neo was never the one. Morpheus was trying to find the one, but there was never a one. It was all a second level of machine control. You see, you get to the second movie and you realize that Zion had been destroyed multiple times. And that Zion was only a place that they had for human civilization to go to reboot the Matrix. And as Neo stands in front of the architect and he looks at him and he's like, oh, you thought y'all was resistance fighters? We've destroyed Zion 7 times and we become exceedingly efficient at destroying it. So you thought that you were, oh, no. You're the anomaly. We just need you to go back and reboot the Matrix. So what you actually get at the second and third level for all those that don't catch it is you ask yourself, in one of the movies, how is Neo and Zion stopping ships, removing bullets, and doing all kind of crazy things? Until you get to the third movie and then you realize, oh, Zion was never really in the real world to begin with. It was always a second level to the Matrix, a dream within a dream. So you think that you woke up and you're like, I'm going to take the red pill or the blue pill and have a choice. There was never a choice. The illusion of choice is what gets people moving. So when you see the Matrix and Neo is doing all this crazy stuff in Zion, you realize that Zion is just another layer of the Matrix. He's never woken up to begin with. Kind of reminds me of what the Cleveland Browns do. One of the biggest illusions in the Matrix is the illusion of hope. Hope is a very powerful thing. You want to get people to bond together and overlook certain things, hope is a really powerful drug. Hope gets people to bond and come against tyranny. Hope gets people to be revolutionaries. Hope gets people to believe in things that are greater than themselves. And I think the quarterback competition was nothing but hope. You sold a quarterback competition to people who are willing to hope that the Cleveland Browns finally saw the error in their ways and that they would literally concentrate on what matters on the field, which is winning. Who's good and who's not? Who's really skilled and who's not? The best man wins the job. In America, we want to believe that if you work hard, you wake up every day and you put your 2 foot on and you put your socks and shoes on just like the next man, that one day you might actually be successful as anybody else. That's what the American dream is about. And the Cleveland Browns do a great job of selling it. As I look around and do my song and dance, I can't help but realize that the only thing that got accomplished was Jimmy's world. The only thing that moved, it wasn't the depth chart, wasn't any sort of finding some quarterback that was going to help him. It wasn't winning football games or being competent. It was, hey, we got that $600 million and we got that stadium passed. They sold you a bill of goods. They sold you jerseys. They sold you hope, wishes, aspirations. We bought it again. We bought it. Came on and say, man, listen, Shedeur Sanders is balling, man. Did you see those throws? Did you see those throws against the Panthers? He was throwing against trash cans. Did you see those throws? Listen, the guy didn't even barely play. He was down there, but I went to practice and I came back and said, this guy is over there playing with accountants and guys that are part of the jersey teams, the training staff. He said, you know what? Everybody got hurt. We're going to throw Shedeur out there. He goes out there and not only does he look decent, he looks competent. He throws the football. He's catching it. He throws a touchdown in 2 places that I ain't seen quarterbacks throw in a long time. And then I get to look around and pull up and look around and see what everybody got to say in this. I would temper the results. It's Neo in front of the architect. And he said, oh, poor child, Neo. You thought you were saving the world here? We've destroyed Zion 7 times. Oh, you thought you were the first one? There's always in a list of one. There were 6 other predecessors. I said, wow. Oh, you dear people. You thought you had a quarterback competition. We've done this before. As I so eloquently pointed out in my barbershop series last night, midnight series. Oh, you thought this was the first time this happened? I pointed out that this isn't the first time we've had divisive things happen in this city, but I showed you it was divisive with all of your predecessors. You see, they've sold you this multiple times, and I had to remember, wow, G. Bush, you don't remember all of the other quarterback competitions? Let's start with Brian Hoyer and Johnny Manziel. There's one. Let's go with Josh McCown and Deshaun Kaiser. There's another one. Can we go to Cody Kessler and Connor Shaw? We gave you Tim Couch, didn't we? But we also gave you Kelly Holcomb. Remember Jake Delhomme versus Jason Campbell? I think that we are really seeing this happen over and over and over again as if we're in the Matrix. Do you remember Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield? Remember when they told Baker Mayfield, hey, congratulations, you won. The second, you won the backup job. And people lost it on Hard Knocks. We've been doing this over and over and over again for years, people. And we keep falling for it. Because the one thing that I always learned about the Matrix was not about battery power. I mean, the theme and the premise of Matrix was, hey, they're going to turn human beings and they're going to put them and make them batteries so that they could power the machines. But if you really think about it, no. It wasn't the fact that they wanted to do that. If they wanted to do that, they could have just fixed the sky and just, I know there was nanobots up there for all those Matrix fans that know me. But I'm sure genius level machines can figure out a way to clear the atmosphere, right? No. Matrix was about control. How do you get a bunch of people that you can put into a level of control where you just sit there and hang out? And what the Matrix realized was, and the machines realized, is that people don't want the truth. People don't want reality. They would rather be in the Matrix. Give them a trope. Give them a narrative. Give them their colors. And they'll come. They'll show up. They will be there. As you see, it doesn't matter that the quarterback competition never happened or never was there, because we still report on it. We still show up to practice. And they tell us it doesn't matter what happens on the field. It only matters what we say, whatever we decide. And we eat it like cake. We continue to come back week day after day. And all in the background, they're rebuilding the next Matrix. All in the background, they're grooming another Neo, another savior. This time in this quarterback class is going to be awesome. This one's different. I know we gave you Colt McCoy before, and I gave you Baker Mayfield before that. I know we sold Tim Couch, and I know we sold all these other people. But this time's different. This time, we really got Neo. Is it Neo from Clemson or Neo from Texas? Or is it Neo from South Carolina or Neo from LSU? The question should be to you, do you trust these architects to put together a winning football team when they've never shown you that they have any context or any intentions of winning when they get said quarterback? Because what makes you different from screwing over 2 picks this year, throwing them to the wayside for nothing? You could have simply just said Joe Flacco's the starter, Kenny Pickett is the backup. They're both 1-year stopgaps. We'll draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. Maybe he's the backup of the future. We have 2 first-round draft picks. We plan on drafting a quarterback next year. But you know why they wouldn't say that? That doesn't sell very many tickets. That doesn't get people excited about buying jerseys. And that sure as hell don't give you enough stamina and energy and effort to go out and sell the fact that you want $600 million of your taxpayers' dollars to build a new shiny stadium. See, hope is a funny thing. Hope is a really funny thing. It goes both ways. If you can sell it long enough and for a sustained period, a long enough time, people will forget what it's all about. Instead of fighting for wins, you fight for tomorrow. That's why there's always websites called Waiting for Next Year. Shameless plug. When we get back, we will get to this. Even though I painted a bleak picture of the Matrix in this first part, I'm going to paint another picture. And the one is called G. Bush is out here giving these pills out and they waking people up. Yeah. Hey, these people in these pods is waking up and it's starting one by one with the local media, believe it or not. You're listening to G. Bush right here on the Ultimate Browns. Got to get to the people at FanDuel. By the way, August 26th is officially FanDuel Features Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. Hey, just for 24 hours, FanDuel is giving the deals on the NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling out the MVP, eyeballing a long shot division winner, or maybe even somebody like Shedeur Sanders winning Rookie of the Year, that's where you need to be. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Maybe you crown your champion in August, or parlay your division winner for dark horses. Hey, visit FanDuel and apply today and start planning your futures bets right now, because Futures Day is one day and only one day. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. And I know it ain't even 30 minutes. Make sure coming up following this, you will get to Behind the Glass. The guys are back. Earl the Pearl, Mikey McNuggets, Anthony. They're talking about, guess what? Quarterback competition, what's going on, and how they see it for themselves. Check out Behind the Glass coming up at 6 p.m. right after the Ultimate Browns. Let's get to this. See, the thing about the Matrix is that all it takes is one. I wouldn't call myself Morpheus or anything, but all it takes is one to start delivering these blue pills. You want the red pill or do you want the blue pill? And one by one, I'm starting to see the brethren, the local media, wake up one by one and say, let me question reality. I was told this was a thing, but something just doesn't seem right to me. Let's take a look at this. This is courtesy of ESPN Cleveland, and I think Riz is saying to himself, what happened to the competition?
Winning 5 or 6 games. Why would you just start Gabriel or Shedeur and see what you have? You're all in for next year already anyway. You told us that.
Well, you got to think of the locker room, Riz. You could lose guys.
Tony, the locker room needs to know who's going to do, because you got to draft again next year. You're giving these kids no chance to be good or develop or improve. And I know what Joe Flacco is. Is Joe Flacco taking you to the Super Bowl this year, Tony?
No.
Okay, well, in Baltimore, in Buffalo, in Cincinnati, in Kansas City, they think their guy's taking them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Why would I even play a guy?
Pick.
Why would I even play a guy who can't take me to the Super Bowl?
It's a transition year.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that saying, boy.
It sounds like the only thing that would make you happy is for Shedeur to play all 17 games.
I would love to see him, but I can't do that now because he didn't get the ramp up. He didn't get any reps. He has never even faced the ones. They wouldn't even let him face the ones. I'm just saying, Tone, rip off the Band-Aid and go with what you're going to do. They're half-assing everything, and it doesn't get you anywhere.
It'll get you to next year's draft.
Oh, God. Well, then, you know what? Wake me up next year. I'm not. What am I going to do? Invest my life in this season for next year?
Oh, it'll be fun.
Oh, okay, buddy. Save that quote.
You see how the Matrix is? You see, sometimes the evil stuff, the deeds is right in front of you. Now, I don't begrudge what Mr. Grossi is saying right there, because obviously he's getting that from somebody, right? So you're hearing behind the wall of what is the theory. When you're in the Matrix and you're looking around and you're like, man, this can't be life. They said, well, why would you want to be in a fake reality? Well, sometimes certain people just don't want to face the reality. And the reality of the situation is life is tough. And the reality of the situation is you don't just luck into a quarterback. A quarterback doesn't wake up and become good. Again, you're looking for another Neo, somebody that came with all these powers that is going to change the world. Instead of developing, instead of finding identifying, shaping, molding, tutoring. You've done nothing. I ask yourself, what is your job if you're just waiting on the next savior to show up? Maybe we'll luck into Brett Favre or Marino will be in this draft. Do you see the folly in this? Do you see the rationale that doesn't mix? And for those who are not normal and aren't new to the Cleveland program, this is nothing new. When I mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles and they won a championship, shout out to my director, executive VP. Shout out to Steve. I ask you, my good sir, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't wait on anything. They didn't wait. You know what they got. They went and drafted your boy, Carson. I can't even remember his name. They went and drafted him out of North Dakota. And they took him 2 overall, gave him a contract. But when it wasn't working, what did they do? They said, "Oh, I know you're injured. I know you're injured. But let's go ahead and roll to the Super Bowl and win it with a backup." And then when he wasn't doing nothing, you know what they said? We're going to go and we're going to draft Jalen Hurts. And everybody had a grade on Jalen Hurts, and the grade wasn't great. You go back and watch Todd McShay and what he said about Jalen Hurts coming out of college. They said, "I don't think he'll do it." When he was there a year, people said he'll never get that off. The winners and the winners of the spoils are the people that's willing to take risk. Jalen Hurts has now been to 2 Super Bowls, and they replaced him for Tua at Alabama. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, right? But here in Cleveland, we always talk about what's the probability? What's the probability? Because we got a bunch of thumb thuggers, calculators, abacuses, TI-86s. What are the chances and the probability that a backup does X, Y, and Z? What are the probability of a 5th rounder? That's the reason you lose and you don't get anything. Because what is the probability of taking a quarterback that your division rival discarded? By the way, when your boy, what's his name? Kenny Pickett, when he was ready and available, the Pittsburgh Steelers said, I'm sorry, no thank you. We'll go with Mason Rudolph. And you know what he said? You're the backup. I refuse to be the backup. But somehow he got the raw end of the spectrum. He said, listen, this is how these things work. And these are the Pittsburgh Steelers, the rivalry that you guys think you want to win. And you're taking their leftovers. The Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl. You take their leftovers and make them gold and shiny. You ever see somebody that go to the pawn shop and they want to pawn something that has sentimental value to them? And then they have to run and they have to realize when they got to the pawn shop and they was looking around that the dude at the pawn shop had to tell them, "Yeah, I'm sorry. I know you got some sentimental value, and that was a great elders China set, but that wasn't no real China. Yeah, I know. Great, Aunt Gertrude gave you the silverware. Silverware ain't hitting for nothing." And you see somebody sit there and go back and forth and well up and, "Oh my gosh, how could you tell me that? How disrespectful are you? This was passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation." And they're looking at you like, you got passed down something that don't have any value. It has value to you. I'm not knocking that. Love your aunt and your grandmother. I'm not knocking that. There's sentimental value in a lot of things, but I'm just not paying for it. See, there's always a thing. People are always willing to overvalue what they have in-house. Everybody think what they got has so much value. And then on the open market, it's what? Pennies on a dollar? We're asking. I'm just saying. We'll continue on. This wasn't the first person. This wasn't the only person that was sitting there talking about it. It's courtesy of 92.3 The Fan. We've been told a lot how the maturity level of Dylan Gabriel is. Now, granted, you may say for yourself, he didn't mean nothing by it, G, but you said yourself he didn't mean nothing by it. You thought he just got caught up in the moment. You felt like he ain't used to talking to people. The comment was taken out of context. Listen, I agree with that. That's what I said to you. But here's the thing. I know earlier in the year, when we talked about the maturity level of one person, we talked about the maturity level and how everything was moving with that. The maturity level was he needs a lot of humbling and growing up to do. They told you that, but what we've seen is maturity. Now, take a look at it from this lens. The Matrix is having glitches.
Adding up to me, and I'm starting because of the conversation around it. I go, maybe you should have just said thanks, because you know what, Shador, he was given the same opportunity after his, and he said, "No, I still left a lot of plays out there.
So he played
still got
subpar.
a lot of work to do. I'm still subpar." He was asked about his dad. Said all the things that keeps his name out of people's mouths when trying to talk down on him. And here I am listening all day yesterday. And I just became more annoyed. I just became more annoyed that he even said it. That's all. I hope I'm looking too far into it right now. And I know that Joe's the starter now and Joe's the story, but damn, why couldn't you just said thanks? Yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to clean up. We're happy with this performance, but we're never satisfied. Easy thing to say.
Oh. You see, you can get caught up a little bit, right? It's not as easy as it looks to do the media thing. You can kind of see how you get caught into little things here, and we didn't give Shador any credit for that. Matter of fact, he got dropped to the 5th round for that. We're not handling things the right way. Now we see, well, maybe Dylan is a rookie. Maybe I know he played a lot of football, but he's fallible too. Now people are saying, well, listen, let me compare that to how Shador took it and how Dylan. It's funny how that matrix works. When you start to see the glitches, you start to see the code, you start to see, well, hold on a minute here. And that's courtesy of 92.3 The Fan. Shout out to King Carmen, Anthony Lyman, 6 to 10 on 92.3 The Fan. I'm just saying. You start to see, well, hold on. We were told X, Y, and Z, and we watched games. We saw people perform, but now we're starting to see, well, I mean, the play on the field wasn't a supercomputer. The maturity level, when you're talking about how you get to conversations and all the extra stuff, and it's a circus, and you don't want to invite the circus because when Shador's here and his dad and everything, but look where the circus came from this week. Be wary of people who tell you in unison, this is your reality. I've been getting out these blue pills. We're giving them out. Can we continue on? I'm just saying here. Can we continue on? This is courtesy. Now, mind you, I don't want people to look around. The only reason I'm using this at this point, and I'm showing you, is I told you months ago, the Cleveland Browns are playing with a very dangerous thing here. I said, if you conduct a quarterback competition and let the best person play and keep it moving, you'll gain respect from the locker room, you'll get leeway from the media, and you potentially can find a franchise quarterback. But you did none of the above. You can't even let the dude play with the ones. I mean, if Kenny Pickett is still second on the depth chart and he hasn't played, that goes to show you about the integrity in which you talk about on the field. Don't get on the football field and say, guys, this is where it all counts. And we got to practice hard and do X, Y, and Z. And then a person who hasn't played yet is still second on the depth chart. And the guy who played decently at C+, but the guy who has an A-, according to G. Bush, is still on the depth chart at 4. Let's continue. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks like this. Or maybe are people starting to wake up a little bit?
Dillon Gabriel's start in the preseason, in half of football, I saw a guy who looked like a system quarterback, but a system backup. I didn't see anything special. I saw a guy who plays within structure. That's great. That's what they want. But who, like, you look at him, he is what he is. He is an undersized quarterback who I don't know he works under center. I think you saw that when he did try to get under center, he was not comfortable there. Still young quarterback, whatever. With Shedeur, there is something there. There is something palpable there that you can see when he plays.
See about the matrix, it's just something there. It's something, hold on, it's something, I don't know what it is, but it looks different. The energy is different. The crispness. When they talk to Myles Garrett, it's just different a little bit. When he throw the football on the same play, you threw the pick, he threw a touchdown on. It's just something, the game move a little slower. The swag is a little different. You got to come down to the field. I didn't see Andrew Berry at the field yesterday. I didn't see Andrew Berry at the field the other day. At the end of the day, it's undeniable. If you know, you know. It's undeniable. And some paint me as the Pied Piper, the zealot, the fringe guy. People in my what has gotten into G. Bush? What has gotten into him? Is he just selling his soul for just for this new group of fan base? No. I just think he can play football. Is that so bad that I just think he can play football? And by the way, we haven't gotten to a point this is anything new. Anytime you talk about a quarterback, there's divisiveness. But you brought this on. You told us that there was a competition and decided not to have one. You did that. You marketed it. So I think it's fancy now that everybody wants to take a step back and hide under the world is so divisive now. No, the world isn't so divisive now. The world has been divisive. Have you ever seen cavemen? I think that was divisive. Back in the day, we argue right now, but back then you clubbed each other over the head to death. If you had a disagreement about resources, like, hey, this is my woman, or hey, this is my food, or hey, this is my, like, it was primal, not tribal, primal. You made a decision back in the day, it was life and death in caveman times and Neanderthals times. These are facts. Like, have you seen the Middle Ages? Good gracious. I mean, they had a thing called the bubonic plague, bro. No, the world is no worse than it used to be. What we're better at nowadays is masking the truth and making you feel like, oh, this is what it is. No, it's not it. It's not it. And I'm not just the only one saying it. I'm just giving you two specific outlets. These are 3 different shows. 3 or 4 different shows. I know all these folks. And they haven't all been on this side of the ledger. But what they're saying is this. There's something smells funny.
One half of preseason or football or not, I don't think that's sensationalizing anything. I don't think that's moving goalpost. I think it is Shedeur was better, and it's not. When we get to just the basic eye test, Dillon looked like the maxed version of what he's going to be able to do.
He looked like somebody that was preparing to be a backup quarterback his entire career.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's fine. I have no problems with that. And Shedeur didn't. Shedeur looked like somebody that you can actually make a starting quarterback and develop around and figure out what you need to do with. Whereas the problem I had with Dillon and what happened on Saturday, I didn't want to tamper people's excitement. I just want to put it in proper context, though. Like there was a stark difference between what you saw with Shedeur and what you saw with Dillon.
Boy, G. Bush didn't even have to say it. See, that's just a little old me. Just little old me. I just wanted to show you that I'm not the only person who's saying and seeing. I'm just saying. I'm just looking around. Because there's only so much the veneer can maneuver. Because what happens if I don't put this out, Tyva said this earlier. I'm 43. When I was 41, I was just getting out of the tub and partially tore my heel up, my Achilles heel. I'm the most injury prone. I was injury prone in my prime and was in shape, lifting weights. Problem is this. Your starting quarterback is 41 years old. Football is a savage sport. Ask MJ Emerson. The Cleveland Browns are one play away from talking about one of these two kids starting. And the scary thing is, instead of preparing them and getting them ready to play and getting them ready to be a guy that's going to back up a 41-year-old quarterback, you play games and have them thrown on a side field with support staff. This is the stuff that the Cleveland Browns drop the ball on every single time. They worry about the wrong stuff. Instead of teaching lessons, get guys prepared, ready to play. That's what the other teams are doing. The Commanders got Jaden Daniels ready to play. The Philadelphia Eagles, when they had Carson Wentz, did they fold their tent up and go home crying? They said, we're going to get Nick Foles ready to play. And what happened? Other teams is ready to go. Other teams is figuring it out. When the San Francisco 49ers drafted Trey Lance and they figured out it wasn't it, they had the heart and the gumption and the integrity and the know-how and the you-know-what, we ain't folding up, to go put a 7th-round pick in Brock Purdy and cook. But we sit here in this same decrepit state year after year, and we warm the shoulders of executives and front office people. Only in the state of Ohio can you still rub the shoulders of people who don't play the game. I know more front office executives for the Guardians and the Browns and the Cavs than I knew players. Because we always don't, nobody else in no other cities care nothing about the assistant general manager scouting department on the southeast side financial accountant. We only know it here. We know them here because it's all about the process. And if you keep people focusing on the process, you'll never get progress. We'll continue along. Speaking of progress, the Browns did sign somebody. Isaiah Bond. I'll tell you why he's here. I'll tell you about his contract. We'll do it up next, coming up right here on, you know what? The Ultimate Browns. Today's episode is brought to you by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you are unfamiliar with them, let me introduce you to a financial friend you didn't know you needed until now. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local brand that offers a wide range of products from savings accounts to mortgages and auto loans. They have some of the lowest rates around and committed to serving Northeast Ohio. The Cleveland location is in Shaker Heights, but there are 5 brick-and-mortar locations across the state. Basically, Buckeye State Credit Union is here to help you and make your life a little bit easier. They make banking more convenient, always putting the customers first, so that you leave feeling cared for, valued, and respected. At Buckeye State Credit Union, our core values are what set us apart. Connect, simplify, and adapt. These values make Buckeye Credit Union the right choice for you. For more information, head to BuckeyeCU.com. For more information, that's a Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. We are back again, as I already have this up, but we'll get to it. Welcome back to the fastest, I would say 30 minutes, but we got a couple more minutes here. We got a lot of super chats. We got a lot of chats to get to. We're going to drop this last one right here really quickly. The Cleveland Browns, they've made some news. The Cleveland Browns have made some news. As we talked about it earlier, the Browns have signed wide receiver Isaiah Bond. This was per clevelandbrowns.com. We also talk about exactly what are some of the terms of the contract. This is Mike Garofalo. He was on Twitter and says that just over $3 million guaranteed. The Browns undrafted free agent Isaiah Bond gets a guarantee that fits in between the final pick in the second round, which is $4.2 million, and the first pick in the third round at 1.6. So they got him slotted pretty much as a late second, early third round pick. He gets that guaranteed deal, and he's a 3-year deal. So the Cleveland Browns brought him in, and what we wanted to see is we were anxious to see what exactly did the Cleveland Browns see and what type of energy and stuff did they vet with Isaiah Bond. So we take a look at this. This is from Scott Petrak from the Lyrical Chronicle Telegram, I believe. And he goes on to talk about GM Andrew Berry on signing Isaiah Bond. And Andrew Berry said, we spent much of last calendar year getting to know Isaiah as a player and a professional, and much of the last 4 months gaining a full understanding of his legal situation. On the legal side, we have done extensive research that includes, but is not limited to, hearing both sides of the case and receiving the results of the independently administered polygraph test. Before the allegations, we spent a great deal of time with Isaiah during the draft process, at the combine, and at our facilities. His time at Alabama with Tommy Rees was also weighed heavily on our assessment of the ability to operate successfully in a professional environment if brought into our organization. It is these touch points and more that gave us the necessary insights to make the decision. With his legal matter resolved through a no bill by a grand jury, Isaiah is focusing on learning from the experience while moving forward with his life and career. That is courtesy of Scott Petrak on Twitter. So you take a look at what the Cleveland Browns have said in that situation, and it becomes very evident. The Cleveland Browns did an extensive background on him, and basically what they said is, listen, if he gets the no bill, he's not convicted. They're not going to bring anything by the grand jury. He had an independent lie detector test, which they had the results of, and they took that and said, look, let me just keep it real. Half the reason we can't get this off is because we ain't got no receiver. And right now, we're going to move forward because this is a position of great need. I joked with Adam the Bull today on UCSS. I said, listen, the Cleveland Browns do this. You know why they do this? You know why they get this done? It's because they be missing on all these other players. And they figure, like, listen, if we keep missing on other players, we getting these guys for bargain barrel prices. They did it with Kareem Hunt. They've done it with other players. Quinshon Judkins just settled his thing. The NFL will take a look at both of these cases. But the Cleveland Browns looked at it like this. We got Jamari Thrash, who is unproven. Cedric Tillman, who has been disappointing to this point. You still got Jerry Jeudy, who is the only playmaker that you have. And Deontay Johnson, according to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, is not even going to probably make this team. He was part of the reason he ran the wrong or shallow route when Dylan Gabriel threw the pick against Philadelphia. He's had issues with the Baltimore Ravens. He's had issues with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a long shot to think that he's going to come up here and ball. So when you look at that, it was only a matter of time. And by the way, Tommy Rees was very pivotal in this. I think Mike McNuggets said it best. Tommy Rees played with him. Tommy Rees not played with him, but he coached him as an offensive coordinator at Alabama before Bond went from Alabama to Texas. And guess what? He basically said, listen, how do you think about this guy? They probably kept in contact with him the whole time. He said, listen, you stay out of trouble, we'll get something done. But keep your head down, stay out the news, and figure it out. Once the case came out, it was elementary. The Cleveland Browns, this is what they do. And I keep telling people like this, man, and I've said this before. We got to decide whether or not in our country we believe in what the principles we say. If it's guilty until proven innocent, I can't go by the optics of something. I got to be a grown individual. I got to be a person with an attention span that says I got to take it from case to case. Just because you got an allegation, I can't stop you from eating. Because you got an allegation, I can't stop you to be gainfully employed somewhere. At some point in time, I got to look at the information, and I got to go by what the statutes and what are the rules and regulations of the country. Now, the NFL is they're an independent business. They can fully come in and say, I'm going to suspend you because of optics, right? You could do that at work. At work, it's different than what we're talking about. But in terms of what was happening with the Cleveland Browns, I've always said, this is entertainment. I'm not going to go to a WWE match and look around and be like, I cannot believe that these wrestlers are not abiding by the standards that I have. WWE, man, it's wrestling. What you thought they was doing. Let's get to it. 763 comments here. 1,781 people. Hey, before we get to super chats, whatever, I always say, don't be bothered. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. But one thing that you can always do to help is always put a comment in the comment section, have a good stimulating conversation, and always share. If you believe in this content and you like the content, please share this with like-minded individuals so that other people can find our content, and that'll do for us. And we appreciate everybody that can super chat, super stickers, or become members. We appreciate all of them. Let's get all the way off into it. We got 9 of them. Let's get it going. DeAndre Black, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Funny how they say he's a 5th-round pick, but marketing him like he's the first. Want to get your money, Browns, huh? I tell you what, when you go to practice, they got all the alternates. They got Myles Garrett's jerseys, but they got Shador in every color you want. They got Colorado black. They got the gold Colorado with 12. They got the orange. They got the white. They got the color rush. They got all the above letter D. They got this, man. Listen, by the way, put in the chat. You think Shador gonna play this week? Think he play Sunday? You think they're going to get him out there in front of the fans real quick at Huntington Bank Stadium? I got a little idea. I think they might actually see that. I pray Steichen or McVay can get Shador and mold him and develop him to reach his potential. I've always wanted him to win here. I've always wanted him to win here. We're going to see if it's in the cards. Because they playing games. G. Bush, can you just share your calendar, sir? Because clearly the notifications don't work. Thanks in advance. Hey, I got to put it out there, man. You know, I be trying to tell them, man, beautifully blessed. Thank you so much for the super chat. I be trying to tell y'all never where I'm going to pop up. I told you I was going to pop up everywhere. But we got to get these notifications together. Matt Perry Thomas. 12 contract is unprecedented. It has been done. It has never been done before with a player. Mr. Deion Sanders knew how to market his son, and they do not like that. If there's one thing Prime got, Prime be understanding, don't he? He is a showman of the top level. Stop playing. G. Bush, you know too much. You're going to be labeled too smart. This cat's out of the bag. Thank you. Thanks, man. Matt Perry, I appreciate it, man. Never, listen, I give it to him. You know what it is? I really even say that. I don't write none of this down. It just come to me. The good Lord gives it to me. Sometimes I'll be right. Sometimes, sometimes right before I even go, I'll be doing 5 hours of radio. Before I go on, I don't have nothing. Nothing. No concept where I'm going. And when that microphone turn on, it just come to me. And I watch a lot of YouTube, by the way. I appreciate the super chat. Shanahan said he knew Purdy was his best quarterback after the first few practice. Stefanski is not a better talent evaluator. You know what I will give Shanahan? He got cojones. He went to him and said, how Trey Lance doing? Don't worry about Trey Lance. The best quarterback we got right over there. And you know what I respect about the owner and the general manager? They rolled with it. Think about that. They gave up the earth to get Trey Lance. And he was hurt, and they didn't even see him play like that. And they thought enough of Kyle Shanahan's acumen, his mental thought process, seeing quarterbacks in the vibe, just to move like that is wild. That's wild. Yoshi Doshi 2006, we appreciate the super chat. The quarterback chart blows. Sanders is a star. Love bond. Grand jury found him innocent. No evidence. Will Sanders be happy? A talented, innocent man is ours. I welcome everybody with second chances. Watch yourself out here, fellas. Watch it. Kendrick Lamar said it once. Amen. You know, so you might, it's getting tricky out here nowadays. We'll leave it at that. People's champ. I said it last time. We have no evidence to trust his front office, let it alone with 12. They own a 2026. They be saying that part out loud, which is completely frustrating. It should be frustrating to anybody who's sitting there doing that type of energy. The fact that they're going to tell you in front of your face that we won the 2026 and the next quarterback, what does that tell you about somebody's self-esteem that they, like as a coach, you're supposed to say, listen, I feel like I can get the best out of anybody. Why are we sitting here talking about putting my lifeline on the line for some kid that ain't even played this year? It just shows you we got an inferiority complex around here. It shows you, man, we have no self-esteem when it comes to what we are as a football organization. And I don't blame people because, I mean, you haven't won the division since 89. That's 40 years, man. And it's only 4 teams in the division. You do the math at that. Come on now. Come on. Grady Roberson became a YouTube member. Thank you for becoming a member. Yoshi Doshi, no super, you the man. Sanders will play and excel. We appreciate all y'all, man. We appreciate you, man. Make sure you, it's 5:56. I promise. Director Steve, I was going to be out. Not Director Steve, executive producer Steve, sorry. It's the levels to it. Got to make sure you get that in. I told him I'll be ready to go and out by 6 o'clock because guess what you got to do? Turn on over. Don't go nowhere. In about 3 minutes, you can get the glass behind the glass. Finish the conversation. You know how G. Bush feel. The best thing about UCSS is this. I can feel away. Bull can feel away. Jay can feel away. Jason can feel away. But we still give you the perspective. We the only show that argue it out on TV and then hug it out and leave and go eat some food together. We're the only place that give you that. You can't get that nowhere else. On other stations, they're like, you can't say that. Don't you say that. You guys are doing. No. Guess what? That's what we give perspective for. It's something for everybody. So make sure y'all go check that out. Oh, we almost missed one. Here we go. Jonathan McGriff, $4.99. Appreciate your super chat. Cleveland wants us, the rest of America, to go away. I guess they tired of possibly getting new fans staying in Florida. Thanks for Baker, Buck fan. Hey, listen. You ain't got to be a just Buck fan. You could be a G. Bush fan. You could be a UCSS fan. See how that works? We talk about football too. With that being said, you never know where G. Bush might show up. Radio, television, internet. But if you want the fresh cut on sports, you know where to find me. Right here on UCSS, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1. You know what it is, what we do over here. Have a great rest of your evening. And as always, even if they don't play Shador, or even if they don't play Gabriel, or even if Kenny Pickett gets some starts, it's always go Browns.